Can you beat Chrono Cross using only red elements and characters? Well, if you're watching this video, spoilers, yes you can. Thanks for watching, don't subscribe, or whatever. Okay, but really, if you're watching this, you want to see what happens and how it goes, as well as any potential suffering that I'm going to have to go through. So, let's go over the rules. Rule number 1, only red elements and red innate characters have to be used during the run. In battle, non-red characters may only defend. This also applies to the Grand Slam. Rule number 2, in the case where there are no red characters available, any available characters may be used in battle, where they can only use their weakest attacks and red elements, though I did kind of not do this at the start because I didn't think to care about the mid and fierce attacks. But I do kind of change that over time. In a way, it doesn't really matter at the very beginning, since everything's so dang weak. Rule number 3, non-red innate characters cannot change weapons and armor. However, accessories will be allowed if no red characters are present, and we are kind of going to need them. Rule number 4, we're going to collect all the red innate characters in the game. And rule number 5, this is mostly for the Radical Dreamers edition, and because I actually used it when I was playing, because I kind of got annoyed at encounters, but the no encounter booster will be allowed. Auto battle will be as well, but only if red characters are alive. There are 2 more rules that are tied to specific characters, but we'll go over those when we get to them. Now, the idea for this came when I saw a YouTuber by the name of Tantacles upload a run of them using yellow-only characters and elements, and I'll link that in the description, followed by them streaming a blue element run. I wanted to join in after the first one, and with a bit of motivation, I got to start my red challenge run. With that said, let's get into the game. We go into the naming theme of red things and start with naming Surge Cherry. The starting sequence does give us a red character, but we're not doing any battles since there's no benefit for it. No EXP, no money, no items, no elements. So, we're just gonna run away from everything. After waking up, we loot the town just to sell the elements and buy a bunch of fireballs and tablets. Tablets are going to be important to heal ourselves outside of battle, and sadly they are our only source of healing. While green, blue, and white get a normal element for healing, red, yellow, and black get consumable elements to be used both in and out of battle. Red, however, has the weakest one, restoring only 30 HP in battle and 50 outside. Good at the start, but later on it's going to become difficult to beat out enemy damage. We do pick up Pasha and name her Clifford after the big red dog, before taking on the Mama Komodo. While Yoshi may find fireballs to be yummy, Mama Komodo finds them to be painful, going down very quickly. After Cherry gets washed, we go back to the village, go back to looting, and then go read about our death. Somehow, Clifford gets kicked off of a cliff, don't worry she lives, YouTube, and we're saved by Girl. And then we battle the Spice Boys and Karsh. The first attempt doesn't go too well since I do get a bit reckless, but the second attempt goes better when I utilize the defend command with Girl. Thankfully, she does have a lot of red elements already equipped, which makes things easier, though if needed we could always run away and change things as needed. By the way, did you know that if you do that, you can see her name as Kid before she's properly introduced? After the win, we get to choose if we want to take or not take the girl. We do, since there's no reason not to in this challenge run, and we name her Chili Pepper for her spicy attitude. At Fossil Valley, we take a side road to get the big egg, as we'll need it for later. But we do kind of struggle against some of the enemies with just the Chili Pepper, especially the dodos. We have to let it go for now, but the second encounter with the Spice Boys going down very easily, even with just Chili Pepper. Now, Termina is where we can start making iron. If we had any! Good news is there's a Profiteer's Purse in the house near the smithy, and disassembling it gets us 3 iron. We make a full set of iron equipment for Chili Pepper to give her both good damage and survivability for the upcoming Viper segment. I choose Pierre as my guide since all things considered the only good one is Guile for a potential early Fire Pillar element dropped on the Moaman fight. But that requires resetting if I really want it. So I go with Pierre to make things easier, and we name him Rose. The fight with Ketchup isn't too bad, but I do reset it many times as I want the Power Glove steal from Ketchup. Realistically, you don't need it. It's better to just ignore it since at this point I never really equipped it. I thought it would be better than that. The mana does become a bit dangerous because of tablet consumption. If I run out, I can't restore them. Thankfully, this isn't too much of an issue as we start looting Viper Manor. We do fight a few portal guys and steal magnifies for some extra gold, and Will-O-Wisp has a fire pillar as a rare steal, which is a tier 3 element that we can't buy yet. We get 3 of these since they'll be our main damage here for the time being. One boss fight coming up that might be a little bit concerning is the Marcy boss fight. She is blue innate while Chili Pepper is red, and if you understand the game's element system, you'll know that we deal more damage to each other. The way it works is that opposite colors will deal more damage while the same color will deal less damage. Other colors will just deal neutral. So in this case, Marcy being blue and Chili Pepper being red are going to deal more damage to each other, while if we were fighting a red enemy, we would deal less damage, but they would also deal less damage. If the enemy was a black innate, we just deal neutral damage while they would also deal neutral damage. Thankfully, the Marcy boss fight goes really well thanks to her not focusing on Chili Pepper. But we do have to reset the fight because Chili Pepper missed her pilfer and we only get one use of it with how this game's element system works. The second time around, Chili Pepper does get some good damage with both her physical attacks and a fire pillar, and the double ice blast hits Cherry both times, killing him. Next comes the Lynx fight, and this does have us redo it as well, with me wanting the magic ring, but instead getting the power glove, which is the rare steal option instead. Thanks, game. The second time we managed to win this fight, though Lynx really wanted to focus on Chili Pepper this time around. It would seem Lynxes do like spicy peppers, but with Kid dealing 50 plus damage with her fierce attacks, this battle goes down pretty quickly. At Goldove, Chili Pepper needs to take a nice long nap for all the carrying she just had to do at Viper Manor, and we're choosing to not save her as a thank you present. This will open us up to a new red party member to replace her with, and we don't want to forget to take the Iron Mail and accessories off since we are going to need them, as well as the elements. We don't want to lose those fire pillars this early. Back at Termina, we obtain Glenn, who we name Not Chrono, we get our next red character, Greco, who we name Kane, and then borrow the boat and recruit Matcha, another red character, who we name Applebottom. With 2 red characters in our party, now we have even more power. As part of the deal, we are given a boat. Don't worry, we didn't buy it. And we recruit Lucia, who we name Not Luca, and Neophia, who we name Useless! Yeah, I'm running out of name ideas at this point. But we grab some iron from the dried up Water Dragon Isle and check out the element shop in Goldove to pick up strengthens and weakens. There's also more turn red elements, but more often than not you're not going to be using them, so why would you keep them? Foreshadowing is a literary device in which you go to Hermit's Hideaway, and this becomes one of our first and only real farm sessions, having to beat a boss and get its rare drop. Harl will drop the moon glasses, which is one of the best accessories in the game, as it reduces damage by 25%. This accessory will be very helpful at reducing the amount of damage we take since we do have very little healing, and while it can be stolen from Harl as well, we can't get Chili Pepper back into our party until after the fight becomes unavailable. But if we save Chili Pepper, it would make us miss Applebottom and fail on one of the rules just to actually have her for this fight. It does take quite a lot of attempts, but eventually the moon glasses will drop and we throw it on Applebottom as she is our best character of the 2. Next, we head to the SS Invincible fighting Polly and Fargo, with Polly giving us our first level 4 red element, Magma Burst, and Fargo dying quickly due to being a blue innate. On the boat, we recruit Pip, who we name Cream Puff, and this is also where we have to talk about the Pip rule. Now, Pip can evolve based on what elements are used and can also have his innate element change based on that. If you use reds on him, he can become a red innate character, which would allow him to be used. For the purpose of the run though, I do not use him, but I won't stop you from doing so if you choose to make him become red. The next boss fight is against the Deadhead, who casts Diminish at the start of the battle. We don't really care about this though, since it only reduces the damage of element attacks while we're focusing on physical attacks. Applebottom gets the strengthened element cast on her and lets her pan do all the work. I think it's also time that we talk about buffs and debuffs now. The best part about Strengthen and Weaken is that you can place them on any part of the element grid, especially -3, and still get the same effect and duration as if you had it at +0 or even +3. For Strengthen, it's a 20% attack buff, while Weaken will reduce the enemy's attack by 16%. But the duration is where things start to get weird. First is that the buff duration itself is placed on the number of actions, not stamina specifically. Casting an element is considered 1 action, defend is 1 action, and attacking depends on the type of attack. Weak attacks are considered 1 action, mid is considered 2 actions, and fierce is considered 3 actions. While duration isn't affected by placement on the element grid, Strengthen's duration does vary between different characters. Right now we have both Matcha and Applebottom and Kane, and both have theirs last 23 actions. Chili Pepper, who's currently taking a nap, would have hers last 35 actions. There's no specific rhyme or reason as to why this is, whether it be stamina recovery, stats, or even just when you get the character. This even applies to other characters who aren't really even using these challenge runs, surprisingly. With that said, Deadhead does fall to the power of Applebottom's Frying Pan and her boosted attack, especially with a mid and crit fierce totaling 270 damage. Afterwards, we go back to Goldolf and grab Chili Pepper again, putting her back in the party with Applebottom before going to all the different locations to grab some goodies, especially some early Mithril for later. We then head to Water Dragon Isle and Homeworld for some extra fights against the dwarves and for some extra items. While the fight against 6 dwarves goes easily, the Hi-Ho tank is a bit more difficult. Not difficult enough that I have to retreat, but enough that I do lose Chili Pepper at the end of the fight, with the tank going for 2 element shots that are blue elemental, both hitting her and defeating her. And with only 36 HP, Applebottom spanks the tank with her pan and gets to star level, getting a much needed stat boost. Now, so far we haven't been having too much difficulty since our red characters have good physical damage and decent enough magic where Magma Burst and Fire Pillar is enough. It's only a matter of time before it happens, I'm sure. But with the Water Dragon's Ice Breath, we head to Mount Pyre, refuse to use it as we cannot pick up any of the treasures that are locked inside the lava if we do so, but they contain a lot of fire elements and we might as well pick them up as we do so. Another round with the Spice Boys and we run away twice as I look to grab the Greater Pendragon Sigil from him, which turns out to be worthless since only sword characters can use it, and Red has none of those. Sadly, I realized this after playing the Radical Dreamers edition, because I could have sworn that all characters could use it, and the wiki is a liar. Never trust wikis 100% of the time. After they go down, we then find the Fire Dragon wanting to have a fight with us, which would be a bit difficult since magic-related red elements will heal him. This does mean that we can't use Fire Pillar or Magma Burst, but Strengthen and Applebottoms Up can be used. The fight is a bit close though, with Chili Pepper going down again and Applebottom managing to win with only 2 HP left. Never doubt the mom. Next up is the 3 Devas, who are immediately after the fight, and this is not a difficult fight at all. We do have to restart however because Chili Pepper misses yet another pilfer. Seriously, are you blind? Marcy goes down with just using normal attacks, so that leaves us some elements to finish off Zoa and Karsh very easily. We do, however, want the stamina ring from Zoa, as we are going to need this later on. Fort Dragonia is where the first act ends in the game, and while the yellow and red crystals are easy, we have to fight bosses for the blue and green. And the first one is the blue one, the Giant Gloop. Being the opposite innate, I think I have this fight in the bag, as he doesn't seem dangerous. Turns out I was the silly one, as I got murdered by a double iceberg. Now, iceberg is guaranteed to happen if you hit the Giant Gloop with a red element when its HP is at 12.5% or lower, usually critical health. It doesn't matter if it's considered magical or physical, as I suffer a second game over to it. Thankfully, the third time is the charm, as I focus on keeping Applebottom alive, use a tablet after I get hit by the first iceberg, expecting another one, not realizing what the trigger was for the iceberg, but I do lose Chili Pepper again, making Applebottom get even better. Next up is Taurosaurus, and I only regret not bringing Kane in since the boss really wants to be a part of the WWE. In fact, it's being stiff with its backdrop and chokeslam that it nearly puts Chili Pepper on the injured list. It does make Applebottom require some medical attention as well. It does take a bit of a distraction followed by a use of pyrotechnics, but in this no DQ match, the Taurosaurus goes down with Chili Pepper getting the 3 count with only 9 HP. But I wasn't happy with this. I do want Applebottom to get the star level, and when your character dies in the fight, you don't get the star level while everyone else in your party does, as well as the ones in the backline. So we restart the fight, and this time the Taurosaurid becomes a jobber, not being able to take out anyone. Except Cherry, but they're just a beatstick at this point. Next up is Son of a Gun, and he has some high defenses. However, his attacks are very predictable as they are determined based on what its facial expression is. A blank stare will mean that he will cast Holy Light, a powerful level 5 white element, while an angry face means Meteor Shower. If the face is happy, Son of a Gun will use Kissy Wissy, an attack that can inflict sleep, a white status effect that you don't recover from unless you get hit by a physical attack or a long period of time happens. Its other white elements can cause fatigue, which consumes more stamina on attacks, and can be considered one of the worst status effects to be hit by. The fight is a bit annoying and does require a couple attempts, but the trick here is to use weak attacks. This is the proper strategy, as my fierce attacks are not going to deal much more damage than the weak ones, so overall I get more damage with them. I also can't rely on elements either because of the high defense. Thankfully, Strengthen is a big help here, allowing us to get the kill. Only one more boss left till we reach the top, and this time we have Bunyip. Bunyip is the first boss we have access to that uses Inferno, our red level 5 element, and is able to inflict the Burn status, a status that reduces the enemy's defense. Getting Inferno is super easy, thankfully, as it is Bunyip's second move, and his first move is a Magma Bomb, which doesn't deal a lot of damage. With the gold earrings that we got earlier, we put them both on Chili Pepper and Applebottom, which puts their HP above their max, meaning they'll get a free heal when we run away. So just place the trap, wait for Inferno, run away, and repeat. I do use up all my Inferno traps and end up with around 15 of these elements. Fun fact, in the United States PSX version, Bunyip can use Volcano, which is a level 6 red only element. This early, Volcano would be amazing. But in the Radical Dreamers edition, you won't be getting it here, as this is based on the Japanese version for PlayStation. But with all the Inferno traps gone, we do save so I don't lose the ones I've captured, beating up the Bunyip and forcing it to its second form. Devil Thunder does come out, but the damage is not there to kill both Chili Pepper and Applebottom. A single hit onto Chili afterwards does take her down, but Applebottom gets off one more Inferno with 33 HP and finishes Bunyip. Next up is General Viper, as we steal the stamina ring early, but Viper does focus on both Cherry and Chili Pepper, leaving Applebottom to solo the rest of this fight as she enters Mama Bear mode. Impressed with the mother's power, General Viper gives in to her determination at only 19 HP left. The Lynx fight starts, but we immediately run away, needing to heal both Applebottom and Chili Pepper, even changing a bit of our equipment slightly. The fight goes as well as you think. Lynx tries to focus Chili Pepper here, and we go for the steal in. Miss! Okay, round 2. Lynx starts off with the glide hook onto Applebottom, barely hurting her, but we get another sigil. Again, me forgetting only sword user can use it. This attempt, we were using Strengthen again to boost our normal attacks and drop in some Infernos, hoping to get a burn. Another glide hook comes out, and Chili Pepper goes down, leaving Applebottom once more to solo. This turns out to be Lynx's undoing as he gets folded, and while I use a tablet to keep my HP up for whatever's coming next, it's not enough to kill me, leaving Applebottom with enough stamina to finish Lynx off. With Cherry now getting an important role in the invasion of the Body Snatchers, we now become Lynx and obtain our next party member, Sprig, or as we now call her, Jalapeno, so we go a more spicy route. This now brings us to our next role, which is the Sprig rule. Sprig has the doppelgang ability to transform herself into monsters that she's defeated, which means she can alter her color innate. Until we get a red innate character, she will serve as our main character for the time being, using weak attacks to use doppelgang into a red monster. We do have two options right now, a Gobbledygook, which is very weak, and a Cat Burglar, which is mid. It does come with 99, a red element that keeps your accuracy at 99% temporarily, as well as Strengthen. It does have multiple techs of Triple Fist, which sadly deal less than your regular attacks. We also recruit Harl, who we name Clown Piece, as we find ourselves back to Homeworld. There aren't any worthwhile red elements for Sprig to obtain, which is unfortunate because we do have an important boss fight right now, and the first roadblock. the village leader and elder of Arnie Village, former Acacia Dragoon Radius, and boy does he hurt. Even while using a doppelgang monster, we have the same HP as Sprig, which right now is 208. But this may seem like a lot, and it's not, because Clown Piece has 244, and we're taking around 70 damage from Radius' attacks and 20 to 30 from his regular attacks. This does take quite a few attempts, but we do manage to win with 37 HP left. Pro tip: use Defend if you have 1 stamina left, as it can help make it easier to survive while restoring your stamina back up. We do name our village chief good old Saint Nick. Good news is that after this, we get a red innate character in Zappa who I name Frank's Red Hot. Frank has decent strength, but low magic. And the worst thing about him is his stamina recovery. Most characters tend to have 10, which makes things easier with stamina management, but in this case, we need 2 stamina rings to make Frank's be normal. Otherwise, he'll always be at a deficit whenever we attack. Even if he wasn't red, we'd still get him because of the Smith Spirit. We do go to Viper Manor and recruit Chuck Norris, and we are given a boat to explore the world. First thing we do is go to Fort Dragonia, as we need to get a second red innate for this part of the game, completing the trials once again and picking up some early level 6 elements, the only worthwhile one being Volcano. But not without being forced to fight a Cybot. You don't have to, but I got stuck in a corner and had no way to get around him. This took about 20 minutes of me running away to force a specific fight to have Frank's Red Hot take it out. I did eventually win, but at what cost? Well, a lot of tablets. With the elevator available, we now get access to the elevator and our next red innate, Joey Wheeler's most iconic monster, Baby Dragon. Baby Dragon has great defenses while also having the highest stamina recovery stat in the game at 13, making it easier to recover and get a lot of attacks in. His offense is also better than Frank's, so I give him the moon glasses to also make sure he can tank more hits as we head to the SS Elbis and teach an old man a lesson. The stage fight is entirely dependent on how you use your elements, and in this case, we don't use any attacking ones, only strengthen. This results in a victory as Baby Dragon brings the Sage of Marble's life points to 0 by punching him in the face. We also set up the Sage Marble side quest, as this will lead to another character later on, but the worst fight is about to come in as we need to get the Einlanzer from Garai's grave to continue to the Dead Sea. But I stop by and get the Star Fragment to fight Starkey, who I obtain and name Mars. We also recruit Irene's, who we name Ruby, because of the red gem on her forehead. Then there's also Fun Guy earlier, who we named Mario. I forgot when I got him, honestly. For the most part, I haven't gone into a lot of the fight details because they've mostly just been hit the enemy, cast element, and repeat till death. Only thing about reds is we've had good damage. But now this is a fight where healing is pretty important, but what do you do when you don't have healing? Tablets will not help in this situation. And this is where understanding a few things about Chrono Cross is very important. The first one is the action point system that we mentioned earlier, but there is another aspect of it that I didn't touch on. That's enemy attack intervals. Every enemy has an attack interval counter that goes down for every action you make. The value is not static either, as it can vary from a lowest value to a highest value. Will-O-Wisp, for example, on the Isle of the Damned can have between 14 through 17 action points for their intervals. The good news is that they are affected by status ailments too, as fatigue status changes it to be 16 through 19. In the case for Garai, he has around 7, which is more the middle number. The next thing is attack patterns, which we somewhat mentioned prior with the counters on the giant glue. Bosses in Chrono Cross have attack patterns which help with trying to obtain certain trap elements, or knowing when to time using certain actions. If you know a boss is about to use an attack element that's magic focused, Defend isn't going to help you since it only blocks physical attacks. Going with an attack element or healing one can work if you know how to use it. If the enemy is going to do normal attacks, then this is where Defend will actually reduce the damage and be very helpful for you. For Garai, his attack pattern goes attack to triple cut to attack to attack to will breaker and repeats from there. Knowing this, you can tell when defending can reduce his attacks. Now, triple cut and will breakers surprisingly are not physical text and elements, as one might believe, but they are magical based, and both of them deal a lot of damage to whoever it hits, with will breaker being the most damaging attack he has, capable of dealing over 200 damage, while triple cut can hit for over 100 damage. The good news is all these are single target attacks. The bad news is that it is possible for fatigue to be inflicted, and we're not able to keep our HP up with tablets alone, especially since moonglasses can reduce consumable healing, so instead of that 30 HP I mentioned at the start, you're recovering only 22. There is another thing though, and it gets brought up early in the game, and that's turn elements. Turn elements are interesting in that they affect the target's attack commands, giving them that elemental property while making them weaker to magic elements of the opposite type. In this case, we would have turn red, so if we cast it on an enemy, they would be weaker to blue elements. But if we were to cast it on an ally, it would make our physical attacks red, which sadly doesn't really help us in this situation since it does not stack. But then you realize you can cast turn red on an enemy, making their regular attacks be red innate. Same innate color will result in you taking less damage, so we have a way to reduce Garai's regular attacks at least. Now, remember my joke about foreshadowing? This is where my stupidity kicked in and I sold my turn reds, and right now there's no way to get them, so the only option I would have is to go back in time and buy them from Marble in another world. Or I experiment with Cheat Engine, a program that you can use to hack PC games. In this case, I did use it for 3 purposes when it came to Garai. The first was to re-add turn reds into my inventory to save time from going back and having to redo a lot of things like the Radius boss fight, getting Draggy, even more. The second thing I did was freeze my talent value whenever I run away from the fight because of the fact that I don't want to reload a file just to sit through all the cutscenes. I can just easily buy 99 tablets, so it's not like I couldn't afford them. And the last thing was to watch his HP without using a calculator to go through all the damage changes. In other words, I didn't really gain any unfair advantage while using it, as everything listed as possible without it. The turn reds can be purchased from Marble after the SS Invincible segment. All the tablets are easily purchasable because of how cheap they are, and it is possible to have 99 whenever you want. And then you have the calculating of Garai's HP, which there's so many FAQs that have his HP listed, and you can just use a calculator for that. But let's get back to the fight. Have you been enjoying watching me fail this fight numerous times from the footage? Going through it was painful and made me wonder if it even was possible. But the more I did it and the more I tried, the more I saw his health go down until we got to a point where he was in his low health animation. As the saying goes, if he bleeds, we can kill it. Now I kept trying and getting closer, and one of my best attempts ended with him at 28 HP. I had missed just enough attacks that if any of them connected, this fight would have been over. But it was doable, and after many tries, This was painful, but to get through it felt amazing. At the beginning I mentioned Tantacles and his run, and he also had a Discord where people could talk about their challenge runs. At the time there was only one other person doing a red challenge run, which eventually Tantacles himself also did the challenge run as well as another person. Now when other people tend to do similar challenge runs, they will change the rules as they need to make it more fun for them. So in this case, the other person at the time did have Janus by using any monsters that they had in the Grand Slam, and not just red ones. But they still needed to use Recover All Elements to survive Garai. It did make me worried when I was getting to this point, but with enough determination, you too can beat Garai without going that far. But the next set of battles would be the ones that would also be scary. We now have access to the Dead Sea, and our next boss is Highwayman, a road rollada that loves to rampage and spray its fumes. This does result in me having to run away and try to fight again, but we do win on our second attempt, thanks to Baby Dragon being super useful and powerful. This does net us another star level, and now we have access to level 7 element slots, which means it's time to get our first summon for Reds. In Homeworld's Mount Pyre, we can capture the Red Wolf summon from the Hot Doggity, and summons in this game, they are powerful but also very difficult to use. The field needs to be colored fully with whatever element summon you're using, so all 3 field effects need to be yellow if you're using the yellow summon, and red if you're using red. This does become mostly easier later on, but for now we do need to hope that no enemy messes us up. On the plus side, the damage is much higher compared to what elements we can use, and killing off enemies will also earn us shiny materials for the rainbow weapons later on. Now with the Red Wolf tamed, it is back to the Dead Sea as we head inside to fight the Tragedy Ants, a bunch of normal enemies who call out what element they use at the start of the battle. These elements can range from something like Fireball or Cure Plus to even Black Hole, which is one of the more powerful black elements that has instant death tied to it. For us though, we can obtain more volcano elements, so we do need to find a battle with one, set those traps, and obtain as many as we can before we run out of traps. This is risky however, since if one of them has Black Hole, we risk a party wipe and a trip to the game over screen and having to redo our progress. Thankfully, this does not happen. After that, we head to our next boss fight named Miguel, who for many people is very difficult and can be considered that one boss due to his damage output and his strategy. He has powerful white elements, but for the most part they are single target. At least till you get him low, then he has Meteor Shower and Holy Light to hit you with. And then you also gotta contend with the fatigue status. Fatigue is what makes me run away from the first attempt, but it's also because of some poor decision making on my part. The plus side in that run was Miguel targeted Lynx with Holy Dragon Sword, which is his most powerful attack, and is what I wanted. But the fatigue just made me say no. The second time he does hit Baby Dragon, but he lives with a little bit of HP, and because I gave him an Energizer suit earlier from Hermit's Hideaway, he is recovering some HP when actions are being made. Unfortunately, Baby Dragon does go down to his turn black Photon Beam combo, dealing nearly 20 more HP than he has, forcing us to run and try again. In this case, we need to figure out the best time for Red Wolf, which is right after his Holy Dragon Sword, as he does use a basic attack after, making it easier to build up the field. We do get it a few times prior, but here is the most important part as we get over 400 damage, followed by Miguel hitting Frank's Red Hot with the turn black Photon Beam combo, leaving Baby Dragon free to punch him. With both characters still plenty healthy, Miguel gets into his low health animation and starts off with a Meteor Shower, putting fatigue onto Baby Dragon and killing Frank's Red Hot. And the following Holy Light puts him into low HP. But the pattern resets, forcing Miguel to go for anti-black and giving us plenty of room to finish him off with Baby Dragon's Breath. So far, Baby Dragon has been the MVP, and now with another world accessible again, we go back and head through Fossil Valley once more. But the first thing we do is pick up Baby Dragon's level 7 tech, Big Breath, which I mess around with slightly, finding it to deal almost as much damage as Red Wolf, but still a ways lower. And another thing, it also means I can't re-equip Red Wolf on him. Oops. I can also make Denadora equipment now, and thanks to the ones I picked up earlier in Fort Dragonia, this means a new glove for Baby Dragon as well as some armor. We now need to head into Viper Manor, and we take Karsh with us, but not put him in the party because he's not a red innate. And we name him Green Pepper. Guess I'm going for a more spicy setup now. I do decide to buy more Mega Bursts just in case, since level 4 single target elements can be better than level 5 elements since those are AoE, and they do have lower damage output as a result. We do break into Viper's Manor again for the Rochester fight, and being a blue element means he takes more damage, but also hurts a lot with his attacks too. Jitterbug nearly took out Frank's Red Hot, while Baby Dragon didn't take a lot of damage thanks to the moon glasses, but a Bug Kamikaze deals a significant amount of damage, pissing the dragon off into a big breath, burning the Roach's carcass. Prior to this fight, I did forget to grab the magic seal in the sewers, but decided to get it now since it will come in handy as our next fight with the Hell's Cook, intending to make human and dragon meat stew with us. Being a red innate means he would take less damage from us, but our fierce attacks from Baby Dragon are dealing over 100 damage, making this fight be easy peasy lemon squeezy. Special mention goes to Frank's Red Hawk for surviving with 1 HP, but does go down to a fire pillar right before Hell's Cook goes down. Don't worry, Frank, you won't need the level. With Hell's Cook becoming normal again, he joins our party and we give him the most appropriate name, Gordon Ramsay. He replaces Frank's Red Hot as his level 3 tech is one of the most important ones in the game for this challenge. Spice of Life heals the entire party and is our main source of healing for the rest of the run while in battle, if needed of course. We do fight Grobek, and this is where I need to admit something else. See, getting Big Bread for Dragon means I take his one and only level 7 sloth for the time being, as I mentioned earlier, so we can't equip Red Wolf. This isn't too bad though, since I do have a second character who can use it, and this works out with Gordon Ramsay dealing a good amount of damage with it against Grobek. We do need to use Spice of Life, which does restore 141 HP to keep him alive, not Baby Dragon surprisingly not, and finish him off right after he uses Vigora. Next we have the fight with Gilot, who isn't anything difficult thankfully, since we're just getting boss rush now and the hotshot tech goes after Lynx. Perfect. But escaping is the most important thing, as now we have a boat to traverse another world again, but not before being given a Grobek who we named Slapchop. Stop by Goldov and fight Orla, who dodges quite a few attacks, but does go down pretty easily due to being a blue innate. This is then followed by going to Hermit's Hideaway to continue the story, only for my game to crash during the cutscene. Thanks, Square. Thankfully, I do save often, but this is where we get a lot of characters, and we won't be using any of them. Riddler becomes Redler. Sorry, I got nothing. Viper becomes Rattlesnake, Fargo becomes Redbeard, Marcy becomes Red Lobster, and Zoa becomes Red Sun. Yes, all caps are necessary. The first thing we do after learning we need the relics from the dragons is to save Marble, as this will give me yet another red character who would become important. So after beating up all the enemies and waking up the Black Dragon, we go back to the Zelbus and recruit our character, Mickey, who we name Strawberry. Strawberry so far has the best magic stat on the red side, and is the best magic user for reds in general, so we'll be clearing with volcanoes on normal encounters, while also being the burst damage with Red Wolf. We first head to Homeworld and start off at Water Dragon Isle for our first dragon fight, the Water Dragon. The Water Dragon's blue elements are a bit dangerous for our team, but no fear, we're able to win on our first attempt and with no deaths. None. Not even Lynx died. Baby Dragon and Strawberry's fierce attacks were both dealing over 100 damage, and with red elements being casted like Volcano, that was an extra 300 to 400 damage we dealt. The Water Dragon only got 2 turns of normal attacks off before the field was red, and Strawberry summoned Red Wolf for over 1200 damage to finish it off. That was too easy. I do immediately decide to go after the Fire Dragon, and this turns out to be a mistake. See, the 6 dragons absorb the element that they are tied to, so unless you hit them with a physical tech version of your element, you're going to be healing them. While I do get some good damage with my normal attacks and strengthen, I can't use Red Wolf for high damage, and unfortunately the Flame Breath from the second form is too much for me to handle. Being Red Innate does mean he'll take less damage from my attacks too. I do decide to try this with Gordon Ramsay instead of Strawberry, but it's not even enough to stop the Fire Dragon's second form from demolishing me. I decided I'm going to need more star levels for this, so I decided to leave and go fight the Red Eyes Black Dragon instead, and this didn't fare any better. Uh-oh. Well, it was a little bit better. He was in critical health, but I do decide to leave once again, this time after the first try instead of 3. Earth Dragon is my next target instead, and this fight is so much easier than the other two, going down just as easily as Blue Dragon, but without the weakness. Yes, another dragon fight with no one dying. Next we go for Gaia's Navel for the Green Dragon fight, and one of our biggest issues comes up here. Poison! I'm not really trying to use antidotes, so my only method of recovering is to leave and heal at an inn, or have the character die so that they come back with 1 HP after the battle, and remove the status element as a result. I do have to do that a few times, and then I realize I do have accessories to make myself immune to poison, so I equip them after a while and take out the enemies to spawn the Tyranno boss fight. The fight itself is not difficult, but what made this be a problem was both the Tyranno and Pterodactyl apparently having a fondness for strawberries and focusing her whenever possible. It does make me have to restart the fight numerous times to keep her alive for that star level, but defeating them does open the way up to the Green Dragon, and we do take it out in the first try with only Lynx being our casualty. See, the trick to the fight is preventing the field from being completely green, as doing so will make him use Carnivore and some even more worse elements to actually will hurt you. I tanked 2 of them, putting Strawberry at 20 HP while Baby Dragon was around 176, but the moment I use a red element to remove the full green field, he only uses Bad Breath and Green Field, and for the most part the elements don't become too bad to deal with. No spray, no darkness, no poison. He does hit Baby Dragon with Flu, and when he's near death, my stamina recovery isn't too great, with me having to use weak attacks to get elements just to use and avoid any incoming carnivores. But with the cough drop, the Green Dragon does go down, and Leah joins our party, becoming the Dreamstone. I tried the Black Dragon fight again, this time with better stats. The fight does go better, but we still run away when we almost win. Not by accident, but because Strawberry's clearly not good at free-falling. Alright, another try. This time Baby Dragon gets focused. It does seem that the Red Eyes Black Dragon still has too much attack power. We give it a few more attempts, but eventually, after many retries to get both Baby Dragon and Strawberry the star level, we managed to defeat the Red Eyes Black Dragon, proving that Baby Dragon is indeed Joey's best monster. Fire Dragon is the only one left before the Sky Dragon becomes available, so I think about how I want to do this again. We definitely need to use Baby Dragon for the tankiness he has, but Gordon is also needed for the healing. Despite the bonus stats from all the stars we got, we're still not strong enough for his Meteor Black Dragon form. We do use earrings to give both Baby Dragon and Golden Ramsey extra HP, with both having nearly 500, and we definitely need to use Strengthen to boost up their physical attacks. This is where I start using another element that I briefly talked about, but has been available since we had access to Holomorph Godove, and that is 99. With 99, I don't have to worry about Baby Dragon's fierce attacks missing, which is the most important thing, as that's where the high damage is. Gordon Ramsay goes down, it's fine, but Baby Dragon needs to live. And with only 38 HP left, and the next attack gonna likely be my death, Meteor Black Dragon falls as we get a Red Relic and the Salamander summon, a much more powerful summon compared to the Red Wolf. The Sky Dragon is always the last of the group, and isn't the hardest one in some cases. In our case, it's difficult. Lack of sustainable healing makes this rough, especially since Sky Dragon loves to use Magnify to boost its elemental damage, and he does have some powerful ones. Right after Magnify comes is Holy Breath, which can deal well over 200 damage to Strawberry and nearly 200 to Baby Dragon. There is another thing though. When hit by 5 attack elements, he can use Ultra Nova, one of the most powerful non-summon elements in the game, and I do have to plan not just around this, but also the fact that he can inflict fatigue on my party, and his white elements change the field, so I can't summon if I misuse my stamina. This does take a few tries because of Strawberry just being killed a lot. Seriously, does El Nido have a love for strawberries or something? Eventually I get the fight that lets me get the star level for both of them despite both being fatigued, and me mistiming my Red Wolf setup to be before his Magnify and not after, losing out on some good damage to make the fight faster. Oh well, at least he's dead now. we need our body back, which means Dark Cherry time. First, we get the Dragon's Tear from Hongodove and recruit Cena, who I name Reimu. But since we already explored Fort Dragonia, we don't have a use for it. Dark Cherry, or sorry, the game says Dark Surge, I guess. Fight goes well at first, with Feral Cats not being dangerous, but so much damage being dealt early on, only for an attack combo to come out and defeat Strawberry. Seriously, why does everyone like strawberries? Okay, attempt number 2. Cast Weaken on him this time around to make it so those attacks aren't as dangerous, and get Red Wolf off once more, and yet again, 4-hit combo to Strawberry, takes her out. I ran out of tablets to heal, so I can go in again without being at full HP. Bad idea. This time I don't get out the Red Wolf fast enough before Feral Cats, so I use the defend command for Strawberry, letting her tank the combo and surviving with 27 HP. But I don't have a way to summon or kill him, and next turn he kills with a volcano. If only I kept that trap. Okay, I'll load my files so I can get my tablets back. A few more tries, and this time we get our 37th star with both of them alive. The best part about this is now we can use our level 8 summon elements from the dragons, meaning Salamander can be used, and as mentioned before, much more powerful than Red Wolf. And we're going to see that very much later on. With our body back, more stuff has opened up to us, including the Master's Hammer from Home Marble to let us craft rainbow equipment, and the Dragoon's Glory accessory in the Termina Bar. I do also recruit Aura for no reason but to name her Fruit Punch. I also craft my first rainbow item thanks to dismantling a number of accessories I picked up, and it is a Spectral Glove. Before anyone says anything, I am aware you can get one for free later on, but we do have 2 glove users right now, so having 2 is better. Realistically, I should have made some Prism Mail since this next area the Spectral Glove doesn't get much use, but I'll explain later on. In the Sea of Eden, we do get to choose which boss we want, but I choose Vita Trez because there's really no reason to any specific one. And I don't remember which is which. And I just chose randomly. Fight is pretty simple with Vita Trez even being helpful in using Volcano to make the field fully red, letting Strawberry get out the first of many salamanders, dealing over 2,000 damage. Next up is Chronopolis, and this is where we get another boss fight with the Polis Police, who immediately punches out Cherry. The enemies here are all machines, and this is where the Denadorite weapons truly shine. Fierce attacks against Chronopolis enemies are guaranteed critical hits, so it should make this fight easy. Right? Right? Strawberry goes down again. Okay. Robots clearly like strawberries too. Round 2 fares better overall, and while we didn't get out of Salamander before, we do this time to finish the Polis Police off with everyone alive. Yes, even Cherry. I don't intend to farm around here for the power seals, but do manage to get 2 in the process. We do pick up the Forget-Me-Not pot to gather some red enemies here for later, and also a very important red specific element, Recharge. I'll talk more about this later, as Chronopolis is mostly an expedition dump, so let's just go to Fate. The interesting thing about Fate is that he casts Diminish, but even with it active, elements still hurt quite a bit. But what really hurts is Baby Dragon's Spectral Glove. Okay, making it now was kinda worth it actually. Denadorite weapons won't crit here, but a fierce hit from the Spectral Glove on Baby Dragon will deal over 350 damage. This amount of damage is beautiful, and Strawberry being able to deal some big damage as well makes this fight easy. Okay, it's not that easy. I give it another try, but the Dark Energy this time kills both Baby Dragon and Strawberry, sending me back to the title screen. But not once, but twice. Okay, 4 times the charm, right? I focus on Baby Dragon's fierce attacks with both strength and N99, getting well over 300 damage per hit and even some 400 plus, bringing down Fate's HP before Dark Energy can happen. With Terra Tower now rising from the ocean, I need to get Kid back. I do pick up the Chrono Cross to enter her mind, which brings only Cherry and... uh-oh. Cherry can't deal with the lava boys, even with red elements and getting lucky with confusions. Thankfully, you don't need to fight these battles, so I force myself to the end and get Kid back. I mean, Chili Pepper. I use the Forget-Me-Not pod and gather some more red element enemies for the Grand Slam since we still need Janice. I bring in Will-O-Wisp, Cat Burglar, and Gizmotoid first, with Gizmotoid able to easily deal with all the enemies while Will-O-Wisp does its best. And Cat Burglar helps. Sorta. Next fight we bring Gobbledygook, Hot Doggity, and Airframe. Airframe only is defending, but Hot Doggity needs to be the main carry here. But the Spearfisher has other plans and is the main worry, and does freeze Hot Doggity on the first try. I do run away and restart the fight, this time bringing the Torminator and the Wraith instead of Hot Doggity and Airframe. The Torminator is a beast with 658 HP and is able to take out the enemy team on its own. Is what I would say if Spearfisher didn't freeze him as well and then kill him shortly after. Okay, retry number 3, same group. We focus Spearfisher and take it out, followed by the Cybot, and the enemy Gobbledygook doesn't stand a chance and goes down. The last fight we brought Gyroblade for nothing, Hot Doggity, and Combot. Combot has 999 HP and a lot of damage, and just solos this fight. As a result, we get Janice, and then we name her Red Hair. As mentioned prior, Janice was used by another challenge runner and was one of their more important characters. Sadly for us, Janice's stats aren't that great in comparison to Baby Dragon and Strawberry, so while I do use her for a little bit, it's not for long. We do need to make our boat fly, so we head to the El Nido Triangle in another world and fight our next boss, the Royal Jelly. This boss can only be damaged by red elements, not attacks or any other colored elements, making red the only element who can complete this challenge fully with the rule set. But I digress. The fight isn't worth mentioning since it's so easy, but a free star is a free star. Thinking about it, Chrono Cross third act is pretty much just boss rush after boss rush after boss rush. With the 2 dungeons in, it's still having a lot of boss fights. I say this because we get the Terra Tower and have another boss fight with Terrator. Being White Innate, it does have some pretty powerful attacks, bringing even Baby Dragon to 26 HP and Strawberry down to 142. Thankfully, it's not enough to stop us as we take it down. We grab treasures on the way, with our next fight being the Parator. Word of advice, don't use the elements of the bosses here, as it will just heal them. I used Salamander and I healed Parator by 1080 HP. Whoops. I restarted the fight since Strawberry did die as a result of my blunder, but second time we get the kill easily thanks to Strengthen and 99 as we obtain Red Field. This now lets us instantly set up the field element to bring out the Salamander quickly. Since Strawberry is the summoner, Baby Dragon will be the fielder. We get our second Spectral Glove for Strawberry now so she can deal some good physical damage too, and then we fight the Animotor, giving it full punches before Redfield into Salamander finishes it off, letting us go to the next part. We now have Luxator and Gravitor to fight to get inside the door, with Gravitor being the first one we fight, with a similar strategy as Animotor, and we take it down as well, with Baby Dragon taking a big Omega Black. Luxator also goes down the same way, and yes, it's really that simple at this point. The intersection is now available, and we have Aquator now, who actually takes more than one try. Immediately he goes after Baby Dragon, and with 130 damage normals, kills him off from full HP. For the record, Baby Dragon has 535 max HP, and oh boy, that's a lot. Attempt number 2, he focuses on Cherry this time, and I didn't heal Baby Dragon, who stayed at 1 HP. Once the red field came out, we summoned Salamander, dealing over 2,500 damage, finishing this battle off. Only 2 more bosses left, and then this challenge run is over. First is the Dragon God, or the Time Devourer as it's called. This one cycles through the different elemental dragons and gains their absorption when on the field. Thankfully, the red one is the third form, so we don't have to use red elements there, and its attacks aren't too dangerous yet. They do, however, get dangerous in the later parts of this fight, and this is where I need to change my strategy. So far, since getting Salamander, most boss fights have just been get the field red and summon for victory. We can't do that here because of the forms, and each form just gets stronger, meaning we're in a battle of attrition, one where we have no real method of healing to stay alive. And that's where we remember that Gordon Ramsay exists with his amazing cooking. We also should get better armor, as we've been doing this entire segment with stone mails. The good news is that accessories to get the shiny materials are all available for us. The bad news is that they are either rare drops or steals, or in the case of the Earth Charms, a rare enemy spawn in Terra Tower. We do get them to make 2 Prism Males, and we get them for Baby Dragon and Gordon Ramsay. Even that and healing, though, is not enough. This is where I had a thought, and am glad I did, because it made me use an element I never really used in my normal playthroughs of Chrono Cross. That's the recharge element. It is a red-only element and is a consumable, but it can be used in battle. You get 5 of them and only 5 per playthrough, so we only have 5 uses of this. What it does, however, mean is we can recharge our elements, hence the name. Whoever uses this element on will have all of their elements restored in battle, so you can reuse them. Yes, that means techs and summons. Even if it only means we have 5 more uses of any of the techs that we need, that's still more healing. We do want to keep a few, however, for the true Time Devourer fight, just in case. To avoid having to use too many, I do need to get a decent enough fight where Gordon Ramsay doesn't have to heal immediately, and just to save only one of our 2 party members. The further I get without using Spice of Life, the better, and I can hold on to the recharge for when I truly need it. It does take many attempts, and in the winning attempt I get worried because both Baby Dragon and Gordon Ramsay are fatigued, but we do reach the last form. I've only used 1 recharge and debate on using a second one, but Gordon misses an important hit to use it, and then Spice of Life. With both Baby Dragon and Gordon Ramsay low on HP, I gamble. Redfield from Gordon, Salamander from Baby Dragon, only 1008 damage dealt. Victory was ours, but we do have one more fight left. My idea of keeping Gordon Ramsay as a support for Baby Dragon with Spice of Life and recharge for healing was the way to go, especially with 4 recharges available. Getting off a Salamander wouldn't be too tough because of Redfield, so I could even use recharges for that too. I considered the options, but 99 and Strengthen onto Baby Dragon lets me get 450-ish damage fierce hits. But while I do try and get close, the Time Devourer wins, taking out Baby Dragon, followed by Gordon Ramsay. Okay, round 2. We know it's possible. It has to be. I do a bit of a different strat, going for an early Redfield into Red Wolf. Why not Salamander, one might ask? Well, I will need to use recharge later for Gordon's heals. But it will let me use Redfield again, giving me access to Salamander, and Red Wolf still hits hard. 833 damage hard. Maybe not a lot because it's Baby Dragon using it and not Strawberry, but it's still good damage. Time Devourer, however, is still a pain, poisoning both of our party members and nearly killing Gordon.
But a heal followed by a recharge will keep us going. And once he has enough stamina, we summon the salamander for 1,113 damage. It's still not enough. Baby Dragon's still pretty healthy though. I let Gordon fight till the poison kills him, but then Baby Dragon goes in, gets the kill. In the middle of me working and all this run took a little over a week to do. In terms of game time, that was roughly 20 hours. Not as much as I thought it would be, if I'm being honest, but it definitely was a run that had its share of challenges. The lack of healing without Orcha makes Red probably the most difficult of the group. While the characters themselves aren't bad, they're not amazing either. More so middle of the road. Baby Dragon, however, was the MVP of this run, being part of the party from the moment we picked him up to when we ended. Mickey deserves a lot of credit as well, despite being replaced in the end, because her magic stat definitely made things better. I wonder what would have happened if I switched her with Baby Dragon. Would the fights be somewhat easier because of her elemental damage? Or would Baby Dragon's physical attacks overtake her? And then there's Orcha. He deserves major credit for his healing tech. Without it, this challenge likely may not have been possible without breaking a rule or two. But confidently, it can be said that yes, you can beat Chrono Cross using only red elements and characters. At the time of recording this audio and editing the video, Tentacles has already finished the stream of his Red Challenge Run, which I will include the links to in the description. He does have to still do the editing, which is sort of what kind of pushed me to finally finish this, because he's about to start. At the moment, he is currently doing a solo run of Chrono in Chrono Trigger, so definitely check him out if you actually manage to catch the stream. He might have finished it by the time that this video is uploaded. I also want to give a shout out to Pokephase from Tentacles' Discord, who did this run before I did. Definitely logging the challenge, which kind of helped out a lot, actually, in terms of what I kind of need to worry about. And I also want to give a shout out to Geo, who also completed their run after I did. And in fact, he actually started his after Tantacles, and again, definitely a shout out to Tantacles as well, because he kind of inspired me to do this. Both Geo and Tantacles are utilizing Pip, as a bit of a spoiler. And let's be honest, Pip is a great little cream puff. But a new challenge will always await.